So I recently saw a repost on Facebook by John Negroni about how every Pixar movie is connected in actually one whole movie. At first I thought this was just some silly off the wall conspiracy idea, but I gave it a read and it blew my mind. I have to share this with everybody, so I'm going to read his theory that he brought together, and I will add in my own commentary along with adding in some of his commentary. This theory covers every Pixar production since Toy Story. Every movie is connected and implies major events that influence every single movie. Okay, here we go. Brave is the first and last movie in the timeline. Obviously, this movie about a Scottish kingdom during the Dark Ages is the earliest time period covered by the Pixar films, but it is also the only Pixar movie that actually explains why animals in the Pixar universe behave like humans sometimes. In Brave, Merida discovers that there is magic that can solve her problems, but inadvertently turns her mother into a bear. We find this magic comes from an odd witch, seemingly connected to the mysterious Will-o'-the-Wisps. Not only do we see animals behaving like humans, but we also see brooms, inanimate objects, behaving like people in the witch's shop. We also learn that this witch inexplicably disappears every time she passes through doors. Don't get ahead of me, but we'll come back to Brave. Let's just say, for now, the witch is someone we know from a different movie in the timeline. Side note, some people pointed out that the animals in Brave gradually regress back into their animal state, disproving the idea that this is the source of animals acting like humans. John's rebuttal is that they regress because the magic wears off, but over time their evolving intelligence and influence with magics grows naturally, so they, keep it longer. Okay. Centuries later, the animals from Brave that have been experimented on by the witch have interbred, and I assume other people, so the witch probably taught people, or I'm assuming there's more magic users than just that witch. Anyway, creating a large-scale population of animals slowly gaining personification and intelligence on their own. There are two progressions, the progression of the animals and the progression of artificial intelligence. The events of the following movies set up a power struggle between humans, animals, and machines. The stage for all-out war in regards to animals is set by Ratatouille, Finding Nemo, and Up, in that order. Notice I left out A Bug's Life, but I'll explain why later. In Ratatouille, we see animals experimenting with their growing personifications in small controlled experiments. Remy wants to cook, something only humans explicably do. He crafts a relationship with a small group of humans and finds success. It is possible that Charles Muntz, the antagonist of Up, learned of this startling rumor, giving him the idea to begin inventing devices that would harness the thoughts of animals, namely his dogs, through translator collars. These collars indicated to Muntz that animals are smarter and more like humans than we think. He needed this technology to find the exotic bird he's obsessed over, but then Doug and the rest of the experiments are set free after Muntz's demise, and we don't know the full implications of that, but what we do know is that animosity between the animals and humans is growing steadily. Now that humans have discovered the potential of animals, they are beginning to cross the line. To develop this new technology, the humans begin an industrial revolution, hinted at in Up. In the beginning of Up, Carl is forced to give up his house to a corporation because they are expanding the city. What corporation is guilty for polluting the earth and wiping out life in the distant future because of technology overreach? By and Large. A corporation that runs just about everything by the time we get to WALL-E. In the history of By and Large commercial from the movie, we're told that By and Large has even taken over the world's governments. Did you catch that this one corporation achieved global dominance? Interestingly, this is the same organization alluded to in Toy Story 3, as seen in this picture with the batteries. In Finding Nemo, we have an entire population of sea creatures uniting to save a fish that was captured by humans. By and Large shows up again in this universe via another news article that talks about a beautiful underwater world. In Finding Nemo, lines are being crossed. Humans are beginning to antagonize the increasingly networked and intelligent animals. And that is the furthest movie in the animal side of things. When it comes to AI, we start with The Incredibles. Who is the main villain of the movie? You probably thought of Buddy, aka Syndrome, who basically commits genocide on superpowered humans. Or does he? Buddy didn't have any powers. He used his technology to enact revenge on Mr. Incredible for not taking him seriously. Seems a little odd that the man went so far as to commit genocide. And how does he kill all of the supers? He creates an Omnidroid, an AI killbot that learns the moves of every superhuman and adapts. The Omnidroid eventually turns on Syndrome, which leads us to believe that he was being manipulated by machines the entire time, in order to wipe out the biggest threat to robot dominance, superpowered humans. The movie even shows clips of the superheroes with capes being done in by inanimate objects, such as plane turbines. But why would machines want to get rid of humans in the first place? We know that animals don't like humans because they are polluting the earth and experimenting on them, but why would the machines have an issue? Enter Toy Story. Here we see humans using and discarding objects that are clearly sentient. Yes, the toys love being handled by humans and being played with, but over the course of the Toy Story sequels, we see toys becoming fed up. The toys rise up against Sid in the first movie. Jessie resents her owner, Emily, for abandoning her. Lotso Huggin Bear straight up hates humans by the third movie. Toys are obviously not satisfied with the status quo, providing a reason for why machines would eventually be quick to wipe out the strongest humans. With the superhumans all gone, mankind is vulnerable. Animals who want to rise up, Planet of the Apes style, have the ability to take over, but we don't see this happen. Also, AI never takes over the humans. Why do you think that is? It's reasonable to assume that machines didn't take over, just not as we expected. The machines used by and large a faceless corporation to dominate the world. In each of the Toy Story movies, it is made painfully clear that sentient objects rely on humans for everything, for fulfillment and even energy. It's hinted that the toys lose all life when put away in storage, unless they are in a museum that will get them seen by humans. So machines decide to control humans by using a corporation that suits their every need, leading to an industrial revolution that eventually leads to pollution. When the animals rise up against the humans to stop them from polluting the earth, who will save them? The machines. We know the machines will win the war too, because after this war there are no animals ever to be seen again on Earth. Who's left? Because the machines tip everything out of balance, Earth becomes an unfit planet for humans and animals, so the remaining humans are put onto Axiom as a last-ditch effort to save the human race. On Axiom, the humans have no purpose aside from having their needs met by machines. The machines have made humans dependent on them for everything, because that is how they were treated as toys. It's all they know. Meanwhile on Earth, machines are left behind to populate the world and run things, explaining human landmarks and traditions still being prominent in Cars. There are no animals or humans in this version of Earth because they are all gone, but we do know that the planet still has many human influences left. In Cars 2, the cars go to Europe and Japan, making it plain that this all takes place on Earth as we know it. So what happened to the cars? We've learned by now that humans are the source of energy for the machines. That's why they never got rid of them. In WALL-E, they point out that by and large intended to bring the humans back once the planet was clean again, but then failed. The machines on Earth eventually died out, though we don't know how. What we do know is that there is an energy crisis in Cars 2, with oil being the only way society trudges on despite its dangers. We even learned that the All in All Corporation was using green energy as a catalyst for a fuel war in order to turn cars away from alternative energy sources. That clean fuel could have been used to wipe out many of the cars very quickly. Another side note, someone pointed out that all in all means the same thing as by and large, making a connection between Cars and WALL-E even more so. Which brings us back to WALL-E. Have you ever wondered why WALL-E was the only machine left? We know that the movie begins 800 years after humans have left the Earth on Axiom, governed by the autopilot. Remember that the machines need to be used and loved, like the toys from Toy Story. Could it be that WALL-E's fascination with human culture and friendship with a cockroach is what allowed him to keep finding fulfillment and the ability to maintain his personality? That's why he was special and liberated the humans. He remembered the times when humans and machines lived in peace, away from all the pollution caused by both sides. After WALL-E liberates the humans and they rebuild society back on Earth, what happens then? During the end credits of WALL-E, we see the shoe that contains the last plant life. It grows into a mighty tree, a tree that strikingly resembles the central tree in A Bug's Life. That's right. The reason no humans exist in A Bug's Life is because there aren't a lot left. We know that because of the cockroach that some of the insects survived, meaning they would have rebounded a bit faster, though the movie had to be far enough in the timeline for birds to have returned as well. But there's more. There's something strikingly different about A Bug's Life when compared to other Pixar portrayals of animals. Unlike Ratatouille, Up, and Finding Nemo, the bugs have many human activities similar to what the rats in Ratatouille were just experimenting with. The bugs have cities, bars, and even have a traveling circus, but this all assumes that the movie is in a different time period. The other factor that sets A Bug's Life apart from other Pixar movies is the fact that it's the only one, besides Cars and Cars 2, that doesn't revolve or even include humans. So what happens? Humanity, machines, and animals grow in harmony to the point where a new superspecies is born. Monsters. The monster civilization is actually Earth in the incredibly distant future. Where did they come from? It's possible that the monsters are simply the personified animals mutated after the diseased Earth was radiated for 800 years during the whole WALL-E time. The alternative could be that humans and animals had to interbreed to save themselves. Gross, I know, but plausible since the lines between animals and humans are constantly up for debate in Pixar. Whatever the reason, these monsters seem to all look like horribly mutated animals, only larger and civilized. They have cities and even colleges, as we see in Monsters University. In Monsters, Inc., they have an energy crisis because they are in a future Earth without humans. Humans are the only source of energy, but thanks to the machines again, the monsters find a way to use doors to travel to the human world, only it's not a different dimension. The monsters are going back in time. They're harvesting energy to keep from being extinct by going back to when humans were most prominent, the peak of civilization, if you will. The machines and monsters created the time travel doors, but realized that messing with time could erase their existence and change history, so they falsely trained monsters to believe that humans are toxic from another dimension, making it suicide for a monster to interact too much with their world, so they wouldn't mess up the timeline. We even see a connection between Bug's Life and Monsters, Inc. via the trailer we see in both movies. As you can see, the trailer looks exactly the same, except the one in A Bug's Life is noticeably older and more decrepit, while the one in Monsters, Inc., where Randall is sent via a door, looks newer. The picture on the left looks older and more rundown. Even the vegetation is noticeably drier, and there's less of it. The trailer on the right has humans, and the frame even includes tall grass and a tree hanging overhead. That said, Monsters, Inc. is so far the most futuristic Pixar movie. By the end, humans, animals, and machines have finally found a way to understand each other and live harmoniously. And then there's Boo. What do you think happened to her? She saw everything take place in the future Earth where Kitty was able to talk. So she became obsessed with finding out what happened to her friend Sully and why animals in their time weren't quite as smart as the others she had seen in the future. She remembers that doors are the key to how she found Sully in the first place and becomes a witch. Yes, Boo is the witch from Brave. She figures out how to travel in time to find Sully and goes back to the source, the Will of the Wisps. They are what started everything, and as a witch she cultivates this magic in an attempt to find Sully by creating doors going backwards and forwards in time. Just to clarify, the theory is that Boo discovered a way to use doors to travel through time on her own, possibly by developing magic on her own, and then she probably went back into the Dark Ages to learn more magic from the Will of the Wisps. How do we know? In Brave, you can briefly see a drawing in the workshop. It looks to be Sully. We even see the Pizza Planet truck carved as a wooden toy in her shop, which makes no sense unless she'd seen it once before. And if you look closely at the bottom of this picture, you can see the carved truck. You remember Merida opening the doors and the witch constantly disappearing? It's because those doors are made the same way from Monsters, Inc. They transport across time, and that is why Merida couldn't find the witch. Does Boo ever find Sully? Well, we don't know, but it's nice to think so. But her love for Sully is, after all, a crux of the entire Pixar universe. The love of different people, of different ages, and even different species, finding ways to live on Earth without destroying it because of a lust for energy. And that's the Pixar theory. So, wow, that totally blew my mind. It makes sense. There are a lot of little, loopholes and stuff, but the majority idea is really neat to think about. I'm not necessarily saying I'm sure that this is fact, but it's really neat to think about and is amazing that John even came up with this. Kudos to you. If you want to see more from him, check out his blog. I'll post a link in the description of this video. Also, subscribe to this channel for more IRL videos. I talk about gaming a lot, and I have a gaming channel also. So subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys next time.